Luton Town have the option to sign Ali Al-Hamadi on a permanent transfer, but after everything we've seen so far this season, should they? Because when you look at it on the surface, it's been frustrating. He's barely played, he hasn't scored, and he's almost had absolutely no impact. And yet, this wasn't a random loan which Luton decided to do in the summer transfer window. This was a player the football club clearly believed in. So what's actually happening here? Because this could end up being one of the most frustrating loan deals we've done in recent years. So let's start at the beginning. Who is Ali Al-Hamadi? He is a young striker, physical, direct, still developing, and before joining us, there was some real promise there. At AFC Wimbledon, he was producing in the 22-23 season. He scored 10 goals in 21 games. Then the following season, in the 23-24 season, he took that even further, 17 goals and 7 assists in 29 appearances. So what you're seeing there is progression. He's not just scoring, he's improving from a solid return to a really strong one. And that's what made him, stand out and get his move to the Championship. And also, just as important, he was getting chances at AFC Wimbledon. He was averaging over 3 shots per 90 minutes. So this wasn't a striker living off scraps. He was constantly getting into dangerous positions. And then you look at his time higher up the pyramid, at Championship level, there were flashes of really good stuff from him. At Ipswich, he scored 4 goals in under 300 minutes. That's roughly a goal every 70 minutes. So from a Luton's perspective, I felt this transfer made a lot of sense. You're bringing in a player who has scored goals consistently at a lower level. He's also had exposure in the Premier League and the Championship and also at international level. And he's still at an age where he can still develop and get even better. And that's the key. This wasn't about what he was. It's about whether he could step up and deliver at League One level. But what's been the biggest problem? He hasn't been available. He arrived at Luton with a calf injury. There was question marks on the football club on actually should that have been the correct decision. It took around 6 weeks just for him to make his debut. Then after a couple of appearances, he was out again, another injury, around 2 months. So straight away this season has been broken up. And for a striker, that is absolutely massive. No rhythm, no consistency, no momentum. And that leads into the next issue. Minutes in League One this season, 8 appearances, 1 start, just over 200 minutes played. That's not enough. You can't build any chemistry with your teammates. You can't build confidence. And you definitely can't develop properly. You can't develop a striker from the bench. And when he has played, he's been quiet. 0 goals, 0 assists. But the bigger issue is deeper than that for me. He's only had 4 shots in a Luton shirt. That's around 1.5 shots per 90 minutes. For a striker, that's very low. And you can see it in the games he's playing in. Against Wigan, he played over 80 minutes. He only had 1 shot in that match. So this isn't just about finishing. He's not getting into enough scoring positions when he's actually on the pitch. Now, to be fair to him, we are a team that doesn't really create loads of big chances. And it's more than just a him problem, it is a striker problem. In fact, I think it's a balance between the two. Having strikers playing a system that I don't think gets the best out of them, and also as a team, I don't think we help the strikers enough. So I do think there is a balance between the two. But even with that in mind, you would still expect more involvement from him. At Wimbledon, he was getting over 3 shots per 90 minutes. Here, it's dropped off a lot. And if you're not shooting, you're not scoring. So rather than looking like a striker ready for this level, he's looked like a player who isn't quite there yet. So this brings a really interesting question. It hasn't worked, this loan deal. Why have we stuck with it? Because from the outside, it feels quite straightforward. Looking at the January transfer window, you could definitely make the argument that we should have cancelled this loan deal. At that point, it hadn't worked. He hasn't had a run of games. Yes, the injuries haven't helped. And we were still lacking a reliable option up front. So for me, it felt like a moment to reset. Move him on. Bring someone else who was fit, ready, able to contribute straight away. Now, it's not always that simple. There's the structure of the deal which we spoke about. We know there's a clause involved, but we don't know how that affects cancelling the loan early. And then there's the club's view. They may have believed there was still a player there. If he stayed fit, if he can get a run of games, he could still contribute in a Luton shirt. And you can see that in what we did. We brought in Devante Cole. So clearly the club recognised there was a problem, but we didn't really commit to actually fixing it. We added another striker, but we didn't change the situation. And that's why from the outside, it feels like a missed opportunity from us, because January was the chance to reset things properly. And for me, I don't think we quite took it. And now this brings on to the big question. Should we sign him on a permanent transfer? Let's look at both sides. On one hand, he's still young, he's still got that physical profile, and we've seen in the past that he can score goals, especially at AFC Wimbledon. So there is something there. But on the other hand, the injuries are a concern, the impact hasn't been there, and the numbers are low. So now you're looking at risk versus reward. And for me, right now, based on what we've seen so far, it's very difficult to justify making this a permanent transfer. So what happens next? Option 1, he goes back, fresh start with someone else if Ipswich decide to sell him on or keep him within their squad. Option 2, you sign him, but as a long-term project, which is kind of risky. I think next season there's going to be the expectation to try and challenge for the playoffs. So ideally you want a reliable goal scorer. Or option 3, you wait, you see how these final games go left in this League One season, see if he can actually stay fit, see if something changes, because that could still affect the decision which the football club might make, especially depending on what league Luton are in for next season. I have a slight feeling there is a promotion clause within this loan deal. And as I've already mentioned, I don't think Luton will win promotion this season from League One, so we have to see what happens from now to the end of the season. But this goes way beyond just one player, because this says something about us, about recruitment, about taking chances on potential instead of proven players, about squad depth, about how we handle the January transfer window, because this isn't just about Al-Hamadi. It's about how we build going forward. So in the end, this feels like a loan full of promise that never really got going. Is that bad luck? Is it poor planning? Or is it just not the right fit? But that's my view. What do you think? Would you sign him on a permanent transfer? Or is it time for us to move on? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, drop a like, subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one.